Assalamu alaikum everyone. Good morning. Guys, today's agenda is to solve few questions on investment appraisal, few MTQs on investment appraisal, and to revise the topic of economics. This is a very important topic. Normally in exam, 2 to 3 MCQs tested from this topic. So let's solve a question from investment appraisal area. Please open ACCA practice platform. ACCA practice platform, please open. Financial management, official resources. There are many questions available here. Past exam library, practice questions, specimen exam. You can solve any question here. So let me open question from specimen exam. If there is any question from investment appraisal area, we will do it. Yes, please move to this question. Please open this question. This is question number 31 of specimen exam, F9 specimen exam. If you have opened it, please write in the chat box. Please open the ACCA practice platform. Then specimen exam of F9. तो पेपर वाले होते हैं. So I'm assuming that you all have opened this. So let's read the requirement. Calculate the following values for the investment proposal. Number 1, NPV. Number 2, IRR. Number 3, return on capital employed. Please mute your mic. Third is calculate return on capital employed based on average investment. So let's read the scenario. VIP company, a large stock exchange listed company, is evaluating an investment proposal to manufacture product W33, which has performed well in test marketing trials conducting recently by the company research and development division. Product W will be manufactured using a fully automated process, which would significantly increase noise level from VIP company factory. The following information relating to this investment proposal has now been prepared. Okay. Initial investment is given 2 million. Selling price is $20 per unit. Remember, it is in current price terms. Expected selling price inflation is 3%. Variable operating cost is $8 per unit. Fixed operating cost is 170,000 per year. Expected operating cost inflation is 4%. The R&D division has prepared the following demand forecast as a result of its test marketing trial. The forecasts reflect expected technological change and its effect on the anticipated life cycle. So number of units are given 60, 70, 120, and 45. It is expected that all units of product produced will be sold in line with the company policy of keeping no inventory of finished goods. No terminal value or machinery scrap value is expected at the end of the 4 year when production of product W33 is planned to end. For investment appraisal purposes, VIP company uses a nominal discount rate of 10% per year and target return on capital employed is 30%. Ignore tax. It's a very simple question actually. So let's solve it. So let's start solving it, guys. Part A. And first part. NPV. Net present value. So we are going to calculate net present value. So first of all, take 000 round off. Write the years. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Life of the product is 4 years. So first of all, write the number of units. Okay, you can take the 000 round off here. 60, 70, 120, 45. पेपर वाली प्रेजेंटेशन पे कर रहा हूँ, मतलब मैं समझ नहीं आई आप क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं. Okay, now first of all, calculate the sales. In sales, you will multiply number of units into selling price, that is 20, into inflation, that is 3%. 1.03 raised to power 1. And then copy this into the next cells. Copy this into the next cells. Second is number of units into selling price into 1 plus inflation raised to power 2. Third is number of units into selling price into 1 plus inflation raised to power 3. So that's how you will calculate the sales. Then calculate the variable cost. Variable cost formula will be units into variable cost per unit, that is $8, into inflation 1.04 raised to power linked with the year. And select all cells and round this to 000. Please solve sales and variable costs using this technique. Please complete it. And if you have completed, write done in the chat box. Guys, please solve fixed cost. It is 170,000. 170,000 mean 170. Inflated with 1.04. Raised to par with year. Okay, next is calculate operating profit, taxable profit. But obviously in this part, there is no tax. Sale minus variable cost minus fixed cost. Operating profit. Next is there any depreciation? No, there is no depreciation effect because there is no tax. Investment is 2 million. So minus 2,000. Scrap value is what is the scrap value? No terminal value. So write the net cash flows. Take the sum of cash flows. Now you can calculate the NPV. First of all, present value of future cash flows. Apply the formula of NPV is equal to NPV, bracket start, write the discount rate that is 10%, comma, select all cash flows from year 1 onwards. NPV is equal to NPV, bracket start, write the discount rate, select all cash flows from year 1 onwards. So present value of future cash flow is 2368. Investment is 2,000. So NPV will be NPV will be 367. So that's how you will calculate the NPV. Any question? Whenever you want to calculate NPV, instead of separately discounting every cash flow, use a simple formula, right? NPV, bracket start, write the discount rate, 10%, comma, select all cash flows from year 1 onwards. NPV will always be applicable on future cash flows, on cash flows starting from year 1. 2368. This is the present value of all these cash flows. Deduct the initial investment, NPV will be 368. So try to apply this formula on your sheet and please confirm me. Please confirm me, guys. Okay, let's move to the next area. That is IRR. IRR is very simple. Simply apply the formula IRR, write IRR, bracket start, is equal to, write IRR, bracket start, select all cash flows from year 0 onwards. You can easily calculate the IRR. Simply write IRR, bracket start, select all cash flows from year 0 onwards. Remember, in IRR, you can select year 0 cash. You will select from year 0 to all cash flows. But in NPV formula, you can only select from year 1 onwards cash flows. Please calculate IRR and confirm me the answer. Guys, this is part A, second part. Third is part A, third part. That is return on capital employed. First of all, calculate all profit, total operating profit. That is sum of all profit. That is, this is the operating profit. Take the sum of all operating profit, that is equal to 3000. Deduct the depreciation. Depreciation is initial investment minus scrap value. Total depreciation is initial investment minus scrap value. This is operating cash flows. First one is operating cash flows. Now there will be total operating profit. Now calculate average profit. Average profit is 1000 for full 4 years divided by 4. 250. Average capital employed. 1000 plus 0 divided by 2. So return on capital employed will be 250 divided by 500. 50%. So return on capital employed will be 50%. Please guys, please complete this. Confirm me the answer. IRR formula is very simple. Whenever you want to apply the IRR formula, write IRR and select all the net cash flows. So what I have done, I have written is equal to IRR, simple. Put the simple three English word, IRR. Bracket start, select all cash flows, all net cash flows from year 0 onwards. Bracket close, enter. Excel will calculate the answer. There is no need to select, there is no need to discount at higher rate, there is no need to discount at lower rate, and then apply the typical IRR formula. You can simply use this shortcut key and calculate the answer. So life is very simple. Okay, everyone. Perfect. Okay, NPV is positive. That means we should accept the project. IRR is greater than cost of capital. Cost of capital is 10%. IRR is greater than cost of capital. And even return on capital employed is also greater than the target return. Target return was 30%. Target return was 30%. So let's move to the next part. Briefly discuss your finding in each part and advise whether the investment proposal is financially acceptable. So you will write one line on NPV, one line on IRR method, one line on capital employed, and one line on conclusion. And conclusion is very simple. Overall, according to all methods, project is financially feasible and we should accept the project. Okay, this should be your conclusion. Obviously, in NPV, you will write that company is generating, this project is generating positive cash flows that will increase the wealth of shareholders. That's why we will accept the project. In IRR, you will write that the return of the project is greater than the cost of capital. Cost of capital is only 10%, but project is generating 18%. We should accept the project. In capital employed, you will state that the profitability of the project is 50%, but the target return of the company is 30%. So this project is generating higher profitability. So that's why we should accept the project. Okay. One line or 1.5 line or 2 line on every method. It's very simple part. Next is discuss how the objectives of company stakeholder may be in conflict if the project is undertaken. This is a very important question. Look, according to the shareholders, we should accept the project because it is financially viable. But there is a problem with the project. Please read this paragraph again. This company, a large stock exchange listed company, is evaluating an investment proposal to manufacture product which has performed well in test marketing trial conducted recently by the company R&D. Product will be manufactured using a fully automated process. You will use a technology-based machinery which would significantly increase noise level from VIP company factory. Noise level. So please tell me, what will be the impact of noise on stakeholders? Which stakeholder will be impacted by the factory noise? Anyone? Guys, who will be impacted by the factory noise? Operating staff. Yes. There will be a conflict between shareholders, workers, and public, which is living nearby the factory. Living nearby. So what is the objective of shareholder? Shareholder objective is to maximize the wealth of shareholders. Shareholder objective is to maximize their wealth. Obviously, they will want that we should continue the project because project is generating positive NPV, because project is generating positive IRR, higher IRR, and even project is generating higher capital employed, return on capital employed. But worker and public living nearby, if the factory noise is increasing from acceptable level, obviously there will be a severe health issues which will be faced by the workers or the public nearby. Obviously, higher level of noise will create health issues. It will create mental issues. It will create the anxiety or depression issues in the workers and public nearby. Obviously, if workers face this issue, there can be impact on the quality of the products, even quality of the decisions, which will affect the company in longer term. And obviously the public which is living nearby the factory, if they face the issue, definitely it will create bad reputation for the company. So you will write that shareholder will want that project should continue because it is a positive NPV project. But workers will face issue, public will face issue. So what should be the possible solution? Possible solution is company should try to minimize these the noise of the factory to an acceptable level so that workers and public can bear it, and at the same time company can maximize the wealth of shareholders. So that's how you will write this question in the exam. First of all, you will write that what is the objective of shareholder. Then you will write if you want to fulfill the objective of the shareholders, obviously if you want to do this project, then what will be the impact on workers' life and what will be the impact on public life which is living nearby. And if workers and public get affected, how it will affect the company. Obviously, if workers are affecting, they will not take the proper decision, they will not do the proper work, they can face the health issue. So it will impact the company in the longer term. In longer term, nobody will want to join your company. In longer term, your weak and ill worker can create damage for the company. And public which is living nearby, if they are not if they are disturbed, definitely it will create reputational issue for the company. So what should be the win-win approach? Win-win approach should be company should install some uh, company should do some company should replace the machinery, or company should install some components or some methods which can reduce the noise level of the machine. Okay. Any question, guys? Any question? Okay. Let's solve few MTQs on investment appraisal. I have opened a sheet where we have MTQs on every area, but we will solve in today's class, we will only solve MTQs of investment appraisal. So let me open it. This file is actually this file includes MCQs of all past papers. Guys, what is the answer of this MCQ? Let me copy this. Please try to solve it. In relation to operating lease, which of the following statement is correct? All the risk and reward of ownership transferred to the lessee. The asset and lease obligation will be recorded in the statement of financial position. The lease period will cover almost all of the lease asset. The lessor will be responsible for repair and maintenance of the lease asset in operating lease. Which one is correct? I think it's very simple. It should be D answer. Only D is correct. All the risk and reward of ownership transferred to lessee, no. The asset and lease obligation will be recorded in the statement of financial position. No. The lease period will cover almost all of the lease asset. No, it will cover a few years. D is correct. The speech question, speech. Return on capital employed. Profit before interest and tax is given. Profit before tax is given. Profit after tax is given. Remember, in profit, in return on capital employed, you will take the profit before interest and tax. And equity plus non-current liabilities are given. I think it's a very simple question. 2,500 divided by 10,000 plus 2,500. So what is the answer? C answer. C answer. It's C. Let's solve this question. The following information relates to an investment project which is being evaluated by the director of finance company, a listed company. The initial investment payable at the start of the project is 3.9 million. The operating cash flows are given. Director believes that this investment project will increase shareholder wealth if it achieves a return on capital employed greater than 15%. As a matter of policy, director require all investment projects to be evaluated using both the payback and return on capital employed. Shareholder have recently criticized the director for using these investment appraisal method, claiming that Fence company ought to be using the academically preferred net present value. Director have remuneration package which includes a financial reward for achieving an annual return on capital employed greater than 15%. Remuneration package does not include a share option scheme. Okay, first one is what is the payback period? Initial investment is 3,900. So let's calculate the payback period. So outflow is 3,900. First year inflow is 1,200, 1,500 and 1,600. 1,500 and 1,600. So it's 2 years plus 1,200 over 1,600. 2.75. 2.75 year is the answer. 2.75 is the answer. $2.75 is the answer. Anyone? Next is, based on the average investment method, what is the return on capital employed of the project? First of all, take the sum of all cash flows, 1,200, 1,500, 1,600. So let me take the total 1,200, 1,500, 1,600, 1,580. So total operating cash flows is 5,880. Depreciation is, initial investment is 3.9, scrap value is 100. So depreciation is 3,800. Total profit 2,080. Average profit, number of years are 4. Number of years are 4. $520. And average investment will be 3.9 plus 100 divided by 2. 2,000. So what will be the answer? 26%. B is the answer. Please check. 26% is the answer. This is the question, guys. Capital employed will be 26%. Okay. Next is, which of the following statement about investment appraisal is correct? Which of the following statement is correct? The return on capital employed considers time value of money? No. 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 Last one is correct. Last one, only last one is correct. Payback period ignores the timing of cash flows. Yes. Payback period ignores the time value of money. It ignores the timing of cash flows. Payback period will ignore that. For example, investment is 100. and every year you will receive 25, 25, 25, 25 in cash flows. What is the payback period? 4 years. This is the first case. In second case, for example, investment is same 100. You are not receiving any cash flow in first 3 years. And in year 4, you will receive 100. Payback will still be same. So payback method ignores the timing of cash flows within payback. Answer of both examples are same, but obviously we know that time value of money will hit this project more compared to this, because here you are receiving all the cash flows in last year. So what is the problem of payback? Payback ignores the timing of cash flows within a payback period. So answer is last D. Although this is not the investment appraisal question, but let's solve it. Let's solve it. Which of the following statements about Fence company are correct? Managerial reward scheme of listed companies should encourage the achievement of stakeholder objective. Obviously, why you are giving reward to managers? You are giving reward to managers so that they will be motivated and they do the better work and they will try to achieve the objectives of stakeholders. Next is requiring investment project to be evaluated with return on capital employed is an example of dysfunctional behavior encouraged by performance related pay. What is the meaning of this statement? Actually, if you are using only return on capital employed, in return on capital employed, you will be using accounting treatment. Return on capital employed does not consider cash flows, remember. It will consider the accrual based accounting figures. So this is easy to manipulate. And whenever your bonus is based on performance, you will try to increase your profitability so that you can get the bonus. So if you are using return on capital employed, not using NPV, no NPV, you are considering no cash flows, you're not considering relevant cost, your bonus is only based on return on capital employed. Return on capital employed considers the accounting income. So that means you can manipulate the figures just to increase your performance related pay. So this is a dysfunctional behavior. Dysfunctional behavior, which is not a normal behavior. So requiring investment project to be evaluated with return on capital employed is an example of dysfunctional behavior encouraged by performance related pay. Whenever your performance is based on, whenever your pay is based on your performance, so the manager will try to link the performance with profitability, because profitability can be easily manipulated. So you will manipulate the profit, you will achieve the target, and you will get the bonus. This is a dysfunctional behavior, remember. So what is the solution of it? Solution should be give manager the share option scheme. He will try to improve the performance of the company so that shares prices in the market will increase. That is a long-term linkage of manager goal with the shareholder objective. So statement 1 is true, statement 2 is true. Third, Fence company has an agency problem as the directors are not acting to maximize the wealth of shareholders. So Fence company is facing the agency problem. How? It is written here. The director believes this investment project will increase shareholder wealth if it achieves the return. As a matter of policy, director require all investment projects to be evaluated using the payback and the ROC. Shareholders have recently criticized the directors for using these investment appraisal method, claiming that Fence company ought to be using NPV method. So why shareholders are criticizing you? Because you are not using the correct method. So that means there is an agency problem. What is agency problem? Directors are not acting on behalf of shareholders properly. If directors are not acting on behalf of shareholders properly, that is the agency problem. So all the three statements are true. Guys, please read this question again. All the three statements are true, are correct. Okay. Next is last one is which of the following statement about Fence company director remuneration package is correct? Director remuneration should be determined by the senior executive directors. Introducing a share option scheme would help bring directors' objective in line with the shareholder objective. Linking financial reward to a target return on capital employed will encourage short-term profitability and discourage capital investment. So which statement is true? Which statement is true, guys? Statement 2 is true. Introducing a share option scheme. Guys, let me explain with my example. I'm working in a commercial bank in Pakistan. Recently, my company has given me employee share option scheme. Employee share option scheme. In that share option, for example, I get 10,000 share option. 10,000 share option. What is that? In share option, it was written that I can buy 10,000 shares at 100 rupee per share. And current share price is, for example, current share price is 90 rupee. So time is 4 years. That in next 4 years, I can buy 10,000 shares at 100 rupee per share basis. Currently share price is 90. So being the manager of the company, I will work hard. I will try hard. I will do the better projects. I will increase the wealth of shareholders by accepting NPV projects. I will try my level best to do the best for the company. And if I do that, this market value increase above the 100 level. For example, this market value reaches to 120, 140, 160. For example, if market value reaches to 160, I can buy the shares at 100 rupee and I can enjoy the gain of 60. So introducing a share option scheme would help bring director objective in line with the shareholder objective. What will be my objective, being the manager, being the director of the company? To increase the market value so that I can get the benefit here. And what is the objective of shareholders? To increase the market value. So second is correct. Third one is linking financial reward to a target return on capital employed. If you link the pay, salary, reward with the return on capital employed, director will use the shortcut profitability. Director will use the short-term methodology to increase profit and discourage investment. Why? Because in return on capital employed, in numerator there is a profit, in denominator there is capital, there is investment. So you will use the shortcuts to increase the profit. You will discourage the investment so that ROCE can increase high. ROCE will always be high. So second statement and third statement both are correct. Second statement and third statement both are correct. Okay. Okay, let's move to this question. Link company. Link company we start reading this. Link company has been prevented by the competition authorities from buying a competitor, Twist company, on the basis that this prevent a monopoly position arising. Link company is an acquirer and Link company wants to acquire the Twist company, but competitors are blocking this position. Link company has therefore decided to expand existing business instead, and as a result, the finance director has prepared the following evaluation of proposed investment. Present value of sales revenue is given, present value of variable cost is given, present value of contribution is given, present value of fixed cost, present value of operating cash flows, initial investment, NPV, all data is given. MCQ. So project life is expected to be 4 years. Finance director use a discount rate of 10%. Scrap value is 0. What is the change in sales volume which will make the NPV 0? What is the change in sales volume which will make the NPV 0? Guys, what is this? This is the sensitivity of sales volume. Sensitivity of sales volume. Of sales volume. Do you guys remember the formula? In numerator, it will be NPV. In denominator, it will be present value of contribution. Present value of contribution. And contribution is sales minus variable cost. Present value of contribution. So what should be the answer? What should be the answer? B, 13.2. Please confirm, guys. Next is, which of the following statement relating to sensitivity are correct? Which of the following statement is correct? Although critical factor may be identified, the management of link company may have no control over them. Sensitivity analysis can be used by the link company to assess the risk, weakness of the sentinel analysis ignores. Which one is correct? Statement 1 is correct or not? Statement 1. Statement 1 is correct. Remember, sensitivity analysis is being used to identify the critical factor. And it is a common sense that company may not have control over all the critical factors. Statement 1 is correct. What about statement 2? A weakness of sensitivity analysis is that it ignores interdependency between the project. Yes, this is true. Sensitivity analysis does not consider the interdependent factors. Second statement is true. What about the third statement? Sensitivity analysis can be used by the link company to assess the risk of the project. No. No, sensitivity analysis is used for uncertainty. It's not for the risk. Risk will be covered by the expected value, the probability analysis, not the sensitivity analysis. So third is wrong. First two are correct. 1 and 2 is the answer. Third is wrong. Using the average investment method and assuming operating cash flow 729,000 per year, what is the return on capital employed? So operating cash flow per year is 729,000. And how many years are there? Uh, 4 years. So 729,000 into 4. 729 into 4. So operating cash flow will be 2916. Depreciation is initial investment. That is 1800. Operating profit. One six. Average profit. Divided by 4. Average investment. 1800 plus 0 divided by 2, 900. 31%. 31%. Answer will be C. 31%. Next is, which of the following statement relating to debt finance is correct? Link company can issue long-term debt in the euro currency market. Interest rate which link company pays on its new issue of debt will depend on its weighted average cost of capital. A new issue of loan notes will take place in the primary market. Link company will not be able to issue new debt without offering non-current asset as security. So which statement is correct, guys? Which statement is correct? C. If company issues first time bond, that will be issued in primary market. Primary market. C is correct. Although we haven't covered it, but let's try to solve it. Question number 30. Which of the following statement is correct? Scale economies is an advantage of monopoly and oligopoly. Do you remember what is oligopoly? Monopoly means only one company has a majority share. And oligopoly is many companies have the shares of market. So we can say that if WABDA is producing electricity in Pakistan and distributing, that is monopoly. And in oligopoly, there will be a small number of larger firms. Like for example, in auto industries, there are few companies which have the maximum share. In networking companies, there are few companies, Bharat, Jazz, Ufone type, they have the majority share. That is oligopoly. Scale economies is economies of scale. If you produce a larger number. So that is the advantage of both monopoly and oligopoly. So the first one is correct. Social costs or externalities are example of economic inefficiency rising from the market. So what is social cost? Social cost is because of doing one project. If you are facing any other cost, that will be the social cost. Guys, voice is clear or not? What is social cost? Social costs or externalities are if you are doing one project And because of doing that project, if you have to face another cost, that is the social cost. For example, if you get a job uh, at the outskirt of your city, so what is the benefit of that job? You will get the money, you will get the compensation. But what will be the social cost? You have to pay the fuel cost in order to arrive at the office on daily basis. So because of getting that job, you are facing another cost that is called the social cost. So if you are accepting different projects, there are many costs which you will face by accepting the one project. For example, if you are doing a project and you are creating a noise pollution, although you are selecting that project is positive, but because of the noise pollution, in future you will face another cost that your worker will become ill and you have to pay the medical cost, and you will face a reputational loss and nobody will want to buy your product in future. That is the social cost, externalities. So this is correct. Social cost will create economic inefficiency. Third one is monopoly is discouraged because it can lead to inefficiency and excessive profit. So all of the three statements are correct. All of the three statements are correct. Okay. जी Noman पूछें question. Meanwhile, all other, please solve this question. In numerator, there will be NPV. In denominator, there will be present value of contribution. And present value of contribution is the net of present value of sales and present value of variable cost. Sorry, this is the contribution is given, guys. Please calculate the sensitivity. First of all, you will take the after tax value, then you will take the present value. But it is quite okay. You can take the present value, then it's after tax, because in both cases you have to multiply. It is as good as A into B into C, like A into C into B. So both are correct. It's up to you. So guys, the answer of this question is D. D. Okay, we have done with the MCQs of investment appraisal. Guys, please open these notes if you don't have. Please start reading from the screen. This is the economics area. An examiner will test straightforward few questions on this area. So let's discuss this area. Let's discuss few pages today and few pages by tomorrow. There are 10 pages on this economics area. I will send these notes through WhatsApp group, and please try to read these 10 pages by today so that we can effectively discuss these 10 pages by tomorrow. In economics, we will be discussing policy objectives, policy targets, policy instruments. And remember, there are two types of economic policies. First one is microeconomics, second one is macroeconomics. Microeconomics is concerned with the economic behavior of individual firms, consumer or household. So if you're talking about the managing funds of individual household, individual person, individual company, that is microeconomics. But if you are concerned with the economy at large, or with the behavior of large aggregates such as the national income, the money supply, and the level of employment in the country. So if you're talking about the country level employment, the country level money supply, the increase of funds in the economy or decrease the funds in the economy, or if you're talking about the national income, that is macroeconomics. First of all, try to differentiate. Micro means related to individual person, individual firm, or individual household. Macroeconomics, which will be relating to whole economy, which will be relating to whole country, which will be relating to all the population, that is macroeconomics. Economic policies and objectives. First one, economic policies. Whenever you will be studying economics, the first objective will be economic growth. Growth implies an increase in national income in real terms. How every person is earning in your country. So growth means if there is an increase in national income. For example, in last year, I was earning 100,000. Now I'm earning 120,000. So growth, economic growth is how everybody is earning compared to the last year. So growth implies an increase in national income. National income increase means the income of all the country. So growth implies a national increase in national income in real terms. It is not increased by the inflation. It is usually interpreted as rising standard of living. If your standard of living is rising, if your per capita income is increasing, that is economic growth. So economic growth is simply the increase in income. Obviously, if income level is increasing, definitely your standard of living will also increase. Control price inflation. This means managing price inflation to a low and stable level. Absence of inflation is also bad. Too much inflation is also bad. If inflation is 7%, 8%, 10%, 15%, that is bad. If inflation is negative, deflation, that is also bad. Because nobody will want to work, nobody will want to do the business if prices are decreasing. However, low and stable level of inflation is good. For example, if inflation is maintained at 2% level, that is okay, that is good. So control price inflation means managing price inflation to a low, stable level. Inflation is viewed as a problem. If a country has high rate of inflation, then its major trading partners, if your country has high rate of inflation, your exports will become expensive. Nobody will buy from you because your products have become expensive. It leads to redistribution of income and wealth in ways which may not be undesirable. In times of high inflation, substantial labor time is spent on planning and implementing price changes. So deflation is bad. Too much inflation is bad. Low and stable level of inflation is good. Full employment. Full employment doesn't mean employment for every person. Full employment means employment for the maximum person. Full employment does not mean that everyone wants a job, has one all the time. But it does mean that unemployment levels are low and involuntary in unemployment is short term. That means nobody, everybody has the chance to get the job. That means full employment. If you are qualified, if you have skills, you can get the job. That is the meaning of full employment. That doesn't mean that everybody has the job in your country, but it means maximum have the jobs in your country. Balance of payment stability. Balance of payment means there is a balance between inflow of foreign currency and outflow of foreign currency. The wealth of a country relative to others, the country creditworthiness as a borrower, and the goodwill between countries in international relation might all depend on the achievement of external trade balance over time. For example, if your inflows of currency, inflows of foreign currency is $1,000 and outflow of foreign currency is $3,000. So how will you manage this outflow if you only have inflow of $1,000? That will create imbalance. So at the same time, if your exports are 20 billion, but your imports are 60 billion, how can you balance this? If you can only export 20 billion and you are importing $60 billion worth goods, how you will balance that? So you have to create a balance between inflows and outflows. You have to create balance between export and import. Otherwise, you will face the same problem which Pakistan is facing. Your currency will become expensive. Your currency will become devalued. So these are the objectives of economic policies: economic growth, control price inflation, full employment, balance of payment stability. Okay, we will be covering monetary policy, fiscal policy, exchange rate policy, and external trade policy. And once you have covered all the policies, then you will study the conflict between policies. So let's read the policies one by one. I will discuss few policy in today's session. Remaining we will discuss in tomorrow's session. First one is fiscal policy. First one is fiscal policy. Fiscal is relating to tax. Remember, you have heard this word in F6 in text paper. Fiscal year. Fiscal policy is action by the government to spend money or to collect money in taxes with the purpose of influencing the condition of the national economy. For example, if you increase tax, that is, if you are increasing tax, you are collecting money from economy, collecting funds from economy. If you decrease tax, that means you are not collecting funds from economy. That means you are spending. Okay. So fiscal policy is action by the government to spend money or to collect money in taxes with the purpose of influencing the condition of the national economy. Spending more money and financing this expenditure by borrowing. If you spend money supply will increase in the economy. If you spend more money and support this by borrowing. Spending more money means you will build roads in the country, you will build motorways in the country, you will build bridges, you will build underpasses, you will distribute funds through Benzer Income Support Fund, through SAS Income Fund, you will open the langar khanas, you are distributing the laptops, you're spending more money. How can government spend? Where will government gets the fund? Even from borrowing or even from collecting taxes. So first scenario will be you are spending more and supporting this by borrowing. Second is you are spending more by collecting more taxes. Third scenario is you're spending less and collecting more. Fourth scenario is you're spending less and collecting less. So remember one thing, if you spend more and support this by borrowing, what will happen? It will increase the inflation. Why? You are spending more. You are bridging. You are building bridge. You are building roads. You are building motorways. You are distributing free cash to the public, but you are not taxing them. You are doing this by borrowing. It will increase the inflation, guys. It will increase the inflation. If you are second point, if you are spending more money and collecting more tax, so public have the same level of cash. On one hand, yeah, they are giving taxes. On the other hand, they are receiving funds from the government. So it will maintain the level of inflation, no inflation, stable. Third one is you're spending less, but collecting more taxes. Decrease inflation. Because if you are collecting more taxes from the public and spending less on the public do not have the money. And if public don't have the money, they will not spend. If nobody is spending, inflation will decrease. Last is you are spending less and you are collecting less. So the inflation will remain stable. So guys, these are important. A government might intervene in the economy by spending more money and financing this expenditure by borrowing. Collecting more in taxes without increasing public spending. Collecting more in taxes in order to increase public spending. So public spending means injection. Injection means you are injecting money in the economy, adding to the total demand for goods and services in the economy, known as aggregate demand. Whenever government spending is increasing, it will increase the aggregate demand. Aggregate demand means when I have the money, you have the money, and every person has the money in Pakistan, we will definitely spend those money. We will buy cars, we will buy new phones, we will buy the good food, we will like to travel through the airplane. We want to enjoy the luxury. So if government spending is increasing, it will increase the aggregate demand. And if government increases the taxes, it will decrease the aggregate demand. So fiscal policy can thus be used as an instrument of demand management to deliberate policies to stimulate and control the level of aggregate demand in the economy. Too little demand creates unemployment and too much creates inflation. If there is an increase in aggregate demand, it will increase the inflation. If there is a decrease in aggregate demand, it will increase the unemployment. So try to remember this. If government spends more, for example, more on public works such as hospital, roads and sewers, without raising more money in the taxes, it will increase the expenditure in the economy, increase the demand, increase the inflation. Government is spending more, but not raising the taxes, not collecting the taxes. It will increase the aggregate demand, it will increase the inflation. Second one is government kept its own spending at the same level, but reduce the level of taxes. Government has maintained the spending, but government has reduced the collection of taxes. So it will increase. It is actually the same case which we have covered above. You are injecting money in the economy. How injecting money in the economy? You are spending the same amount, but you are collecting less. So it will also increase the aggregate demand in the economy. So guys, if you are increasing the aggregate, if you are spending high, if you are injecting high in economy, that is expansionary policy. If you are injecting low, that is contractionary policy. So expansionary policy means, expansionary policy has 2 points. First one, increase spending. Same tax level. Second one, increase spending. Decrease tax level. Third one, same spending, decrease tax. In all cases means public will have the money flow. Public will have more money. In all these 3 cases, this is expansionary policy. And what about the contractionary policy? Contractionary policy means you will collect more in taxes and spend less. Collect more. Contractionary policy is collect more in taxes, spend less. Okay. Last one. In the same way, a government can reduce demand in the economy by raising taxes or reducing its expenditure. This is contractionary policy. Fiscal policy affect business enterprises in both services and manufacturing industry in various ways. For example, by influencing the level of aggregate demand for goods and services in the economy, macroeconomic policy affect the environment for the business. For example, a drop in aggregate demand might even mean lower demand from the customer for a business product. If you are in contractionary policy, if you are reducing the flow of money to the economy, aggregate demand will be lower and people will not buy goods from the market. Tax changes brought about by the fiscal policy affect businesses. For example, if indirect taxes such as sales tax, excise duty rises, either the additional cost will have to be absorbed or the rise will have to be passed on to the consumer in higher prices. So guys, fiscal policy has effect on the businesses. So if in your country government increases the tax level, what will happen? You will have lower money, you will spend less, inflation will come down, and aggregate demand will be lower, and the profits of the businesses will also decrease because demand in the country has fallen. Any question from the fiscal policy? Okay, guys. In tomorrow's session, we will be covering cost of capital and business valuation, and then we will revise the remaining pages of the economics. In the meanwhile, please, it's a request, do revise all these pages so that we have an effective discussion by tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Cost of capital and business valuation, कल के topic, and remaining part of economics. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.